Chapter 9 Lab Rats. The Maishi Research and Development Facility, Mayor Rayshine Industrial Park, Satellite City. The Maishi paralegals read the Supernaturalists their rights, then witched them up to a weighing whispercopter on the roof. They took a 10-minute loop north to the Rayshine Industrial Park, landing on a helipad on the roof of a Maishi facility. Cosmo's favorite Vatman was waiting for them beside the plastic glass vat in the building's detention area. "Hey, sweetie," he said, attaching the suction cup to Cosmo's head. I had a feeling we'd be seeing each other again. They flew me over here, especially for this job. I want double overtime." The Supernaturalists were tossed unceremoniously into the vat of yellow acid, dangling from a series of suction cups. The sedative and the cellophane had seeped into their systems by then, so they offered no resistance, relaxing in the liquid prison. The acid solution immediately went to work on the cellophane wraps, eating through the virus coating. It was a slow process, and would be at least 1 hour before they had any mobility. Until that time, they had no choice but to hang there and think nice thoughts. Any struggle would only tighten the cellophane's grip on their chests. Once the Vatman had finished tying up the last of the Supernaturalists, he made a call on the building intercom. Within minutes, Faustino arrived, flanked by 2 bodyguards. When she saw this a Supernaturalist suspended in the vat, she actually slapped the Vatman on the chest. "What do you think you're doing?" she demanded. "These people are supposed to be dead. All I wanted was to see 4 bodies to make sure they were dead. These are clearly very much alive." Inside the vat, Faustino's words cut through Stefan's daze. "Dead? There must be a mistake. What was happening here? Why would Professor Faustino want them dead?" "Faustino didn't want anyone dead. She was a scientist." The fat man didn't exactly bow, but he came close. "Uh, Sorry, President Faustino. Nobody told me. I'll lower them immediately. In 12 hours, there'll be nothing but left but molecules." Stefan tried to speak, but his breath barely rippled the cellophane. He thrashed weakly in the acid vat, but the wrap held him tightly. "Oh, so you're awake, Stefan," said Faustino, resting his palms against the plastic glass. Stefan's mouth didn't exactly ask why, but his eyes did it for him. "Are you confused?" asked Faustino. "Don't you understand what's happening here?" They were all listening, fighting the sedative, even if they couldn't show it. "It's as I told you, Stefan. You were working for me. All of you. The Supernaturalists were cutting quarters that I couldn't. Getting jobs done for that would take me months to get clearance for. And unfortunately, I don't have that kind of time." She paused in her narrative, ordering the Vatman to the other side of the facility. "This is top secret stuff," she explained. "If he hears any more, I'll have to kill him. And good Vatman are hard to find. Things were going fine until you developed a conscience. You found Unspec 4, just as I knew you would, and you set off the energy pulse. If I had tried to do either one of those things, I would have surely been found out." Stefan didn't feel very sneaky at the moment. He felt gullible and naive. "You know, it could have been perfect. The Supernaturalists knock out the parasites, and my team collects them. I would have developed a clean power source and saved the satellite and the city. But now, suddenly, after 3 years' time, the obsessed Stefan Bashkir changes his mind, and he doesn't want to fight the parasites anymore. Now the Supernaturalists are no longer assets. They're now loose ends. And we all know what happens to loose ends. They get cut. In a few hours, there'll be no trace of you or your little group at all. I even had my boys confiscate your equipment from Abracadabra Street. There won't be so much as a computer file or a fingerprint of you left by the time I'm finished." Stefan swung his lower body into the tank wall. Those rubber-soled boots bounced harmlessly off the plastic glass. Faustino laughed softly. "Still the same little Stefan. Fighting all the way just like your mother." She leaned closer to the tank. There are two more things you should know, Stefan, just to punish you for slowing down my plan. First, your teammate is correct. Of course, Unspec 4 do not suck life force. Only obsessive like you could believe that. We conducted tests on lab rats. Several rats were injured. Those kept in an underwater environment, away from Unspec 4, survived no longer than the ones held by the parasites. We also conducted human trials on, well, volunteers. The results were the same. Intervention by Unspec 4 actually lowered the subject's stress levels. They take pain only. To cap it all off, their energy emissions actually seem to be repairing the ozone layer. That bit about them destabilizing the satellite was just another lie to get you hooked. Well, if it makes you any feel better, the pulse didn't kill them. Energy can't be destroyed. Basic science. The pulse seems to have rendered them sterile, so levels will quickly drop to normal. Cosmo felt his eyelids droop. Stay awake, he told himself, or you may never wake again. Beside him, Mona was already unconscious, but Seven's eyes grew brighter by the minute. Hate kept him going, as it had for 3 years. You're really gonna love this second piece of information, Stefan, continued Faustino. If you'd ever bothered to check my academy record, you might have seen that several other candidates suffered near-death experiences. Faustino watched Stefan intently, waiting for him to get it. Suddenly he did, jerking violently inside his cellophane cocoon. Ellen clapped her hands. Well done! The penny drops at last. That's right, Stefan. I was already working for Maishi even back then, and you were all part of an experiment. I became a spotter through a genuine accident, but you were created. But I realized how spotters were made, and decided to make a few more. And did you ever think it strange that the ambulance just happened to be around the corner? It was all arranged. Eventually, I would have to recruit you to my group, but you quit the force and started your little group of your own. It was unfortunate about your mother, sadly, but it was against regulations to carry passengers in a police cruiser. So, you only have yourself to blame. Stephen stopped struggling abruptly, hanging from his suction cup. Bitter tears coursed down his cheeks, pooling inside the cellophane. Ah, crooned Faustino. Have I broken your spirit? What a shame. She snapped her fingers suddenly, summoning the Vatman. Dunk them, she ordered. I don't want as much of a back tooth left to trace them back to R&D. No problem, Madam President, said the man. Consider them out of your life. He climbed the steps to the suction winches, freeing the ratchets on each one. The cogs spun freely, submerging the supernaturalists' heads in a giant vat of acidic compound. Nicely done, said Faustino. Expect a little bonus in your paycheck. Thank you, Madam President. Always a pleasure. But the fat man was talking to himself. Faustino was already gone. There was work to be done, and she didn't have a few hours to watch the supernaturalists dissolve in acid. Of course, dissolving was the least of the supernaturalist's problem. They would suffocate long before the acidic compound could get to work on their skin and bone. The cellophane had relaxed its grip slightly, but not enough to allow them to climb out of the vat. By the time their limbs were free, any pockets of air trapped in the cellophane would have long since leaked out. Cosmo struggled against sleep. The rest of the group had already succumbed to the cellophane's sedative. He could only guess that his own system was building a resistance to the chemical because he'd been wrapped 3 times now. Think, he told himself. It's up to you. There must be a good idea in your head somewhere. There must be something in that patched up head. Wait a minute. Something in his head. A memory flashed against Cosmo's vision. In the warehouse, after his accident, Mona had said something to him. Lucky for you, Tito had a couple of robotics plates lying around. He used one to patch your fractured skull. Those robotics plates are made of the same material used to armor assault tanks. When your skin heals up, Tito says you'll be able to headbutt your way to a brick wall. The robotics plate. Cosmo wiggled his way across the vat wall, drawing his head back as far as possible. Struggling against sleep, breathless and thick liquid, He butted the plastic glass with all strength. The, the tank wall flexed slightly, and a bolt of pain shot through Cosmo's forehead. The Batman wondered over curiously. Hey, sweetie, he said, grinning. Are you trying to escape? Well, I'm afraid Skin and Bone are not going to do it. He rapped on the tank. Plastic glass. Nothing short of an assault tank is going to get you out of here. Of course, Cosmo didn't hear any of that. All he could hear was the shrill whine of his own headache. There was no option but to try once more. Gritting his teeth, he butted the plastic glass again. When the pain receded, he noticed a tiny crack in the tank. Stop that, said the fat man, rubbing the crack in his thumb. I have to clean this thing. One more, thought Cosmo. I have breath for one more. Cosmo pulled back his head, and with all the strength in his head, neck, chest, and spine, butted the plastic glass in precisely the same spot. A clang reverberated around the vat walls. The crack widened, spreading to the outside of the tank. One drop. Just one drop. Give it up, kiddo, chortled Batman. Just go to sleep. Make it easy on yourself. The crack spread some more, like the web of a silver orb weaving spider. A single drop of yellow acid wormed through the gap, eating into the untreated interior of the plastic glass frame. Fatman frowned. How did you? The plastic glass blew. It probably took the cracks a few seconds to decimate the front of the tank, but it seemed instantaneous. The Fatman's jaw had just enough time to drop open in disbelief before his mouth was filled to overflow with acidic compound. Several thousand gallons of acid followed the first spurt, careening over the facility into various corners. The supernaturalists in their harnesses were borne along with the deluge, dashed into the tiles like fish in a fish box. The Vatman fared the worst. He met the liquid hammer head on, not to mention several sections of plastic glass that battered him up halfway up an adjacent wall. He slid back down to the submerged floor, a lump already rising on his head. I may as well go to sleep now, thought Cosmo. Everyone else already has. Of course, the supernaturalists were not in the clear yet, hampered, as they were, by unconsciousness and cellophane wraps. At any moment, another member of Maishi personnel could stroll into the VAT department and discover the disaster, or security could switch on the monitor and realize that things were far from dandy in the basement. But at least the supernaturalists were alive for the moment, something no betting man would have put money on. Minutes passed by, ticking by to the tune of yellow grunge dripping from the shattered vat. As time moved on, the acid did its work, eating slowly through the cellophane wraps. 40 minutes it took, but finally Stefan was free. As untainted air flushed the sedative from his lungs, consciousness returned. He punched his way free of the cellophane strands like a butterfly shaking off its cocoon. He struggled to his knees, coughing up an acrid mixture of cellophane and acidic liquid. Slowly his dreams were replaced by recent memories. Fastino! He breathed, gingerly releasing the vacuum cup from his head. Dida was next to wake. What did I tell you? Who's the traitor now? Stefan ripped the remaining cellophane from the Batali baby's frame. It seems like all my friends are lying to me these days. Dido cleared his lungs loudly. The ambulance that picked you up? You have to believe me. I didn't know. Stefan patted his shoulder. Of course you didn't. She used all of us. Bashkia pulled Mona from beneath a plastic glass pane. How did we get out of there anyway? He asked. I thought we were all done for sure. Dido turned Cosmo over. A sliver of metal was visible beneath the torn skin on his forehead. Believe it or not, I think the rookie saved us again. He used his head. Dido placed a hand on Cosmo's forehead. A slight sliver, shimmering played around the contact. I can take some of his pain for a while. The healing, he'll have to do on his own. Seven sat Mona up. You should have told me, Tito. You're right, I should have. But now that you know, what are you going to do about it? Seven pulled a capsule of smelling salts from the maid kit on his belt. He snapped it under Mona's nostrils. I'm going to find out why Faustino is collecting parasites. Mona woke up shouting, No way, Mama! She cried. No way am I going to wear that dress! Seven picked her up, laying her on the surgical table. You're okay, Mona. It's okay. You're with friends. Mona squinted suspiciously. No dresses? No, no dresses. Just relax. Try not to move. Mona's face was decidedly green. Okay if I throw up? Be my guest, said Stefan, taking 2 steps back. Cosmo flopped on the floor like a fish, fighting off an inanimate enemy. The kid has been through a lot in the past few weeks, said Ditto. Seven hoisted Cosmo onto another surgical table. After tonight, it's over. No more lives all around. Ditto took ropes of melted cellophane and acidic compound from his hands. Huh, really? I've all heard that before. The Vat Man was not overly eager to share any information, but one look at the supernaturalist's face weakened his resolve. Uh, I don't even work here full time. Sometimes I do some special work for President Faustino. Off the books. You understand? I understand, said Stefan. We were very nearly off the books ourselves. Nothing personal. Just doing my job. Yeah, nothing personal. Anything for a little something extra on the paycheck. The Vat Man was lying in a pool of acidic compound. The yellow liquid was beginning to burn the folds of his flesh. 2 questions, said Stefan, and you better answer me straight away, because if you do not, the consequences will be dire. Vat Man ran on so fast his chin was a blow. Okay, ask away. 1. Where is our gear? 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 You mean equipment, rods, and computers? Rods are the priority right now. Where are they? Vat Man raised a finger. Is that the second question? Seven closed one eye. The other bulged dangerously. The scar stretching his lips twitched. No, idiot! That is still the first question. Tell me where our stuff is. Now! Okay. Over there, in the blue bins. I was supposed to incinerate it after I flushed your molecules down the drain. No offense. Seven nodded at his teammates. The rifle through the blue bins, selecting rods, clips, holsters, and phones. Better take the faceplates too, said Mona. We don't want to be caught by surveillance cameras. They hosed each other down, then strapped on their gear, feeling very much like foxes in a bolt hole, surrounded by baying hounds. Well-armed foxes. Second question, said Stefan, hoisting the Vatman up by the collar. Where's Faustino? The anguish in the Vatman's eyes showed he really didn't want to answer the question. I wish I could tell you. I really do, but this had better be a very good but, warned Stefan. Your immediate future depends on it. Fatman's abs apple bobbed in his throat like a tiny alien trying to break free. It's a big facility. President Faustino could be in her office, or the conference room, or on her rounds. I don't know. At this time of night? Rubbish. The Fatman checked the wall clock. When President Faustino comes in this late, it's usually for off-the-books work, a bit like my own. Usually, she concentrates on the unspec project, whatever that is. That's the one. Where? The fat man sighed. This was going to cost him his job. Lab 1, at the end of the corridor. Turn right. You'll know it by the 2 guards on the door. They're the only security on at night. Stefan dropped the man in a pool of acidic compound. Good. Now look me in my eyes and promise me you won't sound the alarm the second we're out the door. Me? Said the fat man. Sound the alarm? Absolutely not. You have my word. Hands up who believes him, said Stefan. No hands went up. Well, that's what I thought, said Stefan, checking his lightning rod for cellophane slugs. Ditto was being a real baby. He stumbled into the corridor, bawling his little eyes out. The 2 guards outside Lab 1 couldn't help but notice. Hey, look, said Guard 1, a strapping female with muscle implants over her upper body and night vision eyeballs. A kid! How'd a kid get in here? Search me, said Guard B, an equally strapping male with a thick beard that grew almost to his eyes. But you know the rules. He's gotta be wrapped. Guard A punched him in the shoulder. The punch would have shattered most people's collarbones. Hey, have a heart. You're not afraid of a little kid, are you? Ditto was beside them now, wiping the tears from his eyes. Of course not, said Guard B. I'm not afraid of some kid. The kid grinned a grin nasty beyond his apparent years. You should be, he said, pulling a lightning rod from inside his shirt. Guards A and B were wrapped before they had a chance to say, Where's your mommy? The supernaturalists crouched outside the laboratory door, fuzz plates pulled over their faces. There were two frosted glass panes on the panels in the door. Light emanating from them from the lab was blue. I hate being a kid, sniffled Ditto. Focus, said Stefan. This is a dangerous situation. A couple of midnight scientists? Very dangerous. The security people already wrapped. Don't forget Ellie. I've never met anyone like her who could hit harder or shoot straighter. She was one of the head combat coaches in the academy. Point taken. The usual plan? Seven put his hand against the door handle. No. Cosmo and Mona stay at the door. There may be more security in the building. Ditto, you come with me into the lab. We take a quick look around without wrapping anyone, if possible. Shoot a few seconds of video, then back to Abracadabra Street to plan our next move. We'll have to take care of this situation, but not today. We're not ready. But Stefan, complained Mona. Another day, said Stefan firmly. Today, we look around only. Cosmo felt it wouldn't be that simple. Something unexpected would happen, and before he knew where it was, the supernaturalists would be up to their necks in trouble once more. The lab door was unlocked. Stefan and Ditto slipped through soundlessly. Mona stuck a foot in the frame, keeping it open a crack. You never know, she whispered to Cosmo. They might need us. The door opened to a huge elevator walkway, overlooking a huge laboratory. The walls were painted sterile white, and 50-foot strip lights lined the ceiling. Lab technicians scurried across the white tiles like albino ants. And in the middle of all was a giant-looking construction which resembled nothing more than an enormous spirit level. Solid machinery on both ends, with a transparent blue section in the middle. So, just to confirm, we're going to take a few frames of video, then hightail it back to Abracadabra Street? Said Ditto. That was for the benefit of the other two, said Stefan. You and I both know we'll never get a chance like this again. As soon as Ellie finds out we've escaped, this place will be sealed up tighter than the camel's nostrils in a sandstorm. We have to find out what's going on now. Ditto nodded. That's what I thought. What do you make of that thing down there? A generator of some kind. Nuclear, I'd say. But nuclear power is banned on every continent. Stefan nodded thoughtfully. Maybe, but not in space. Ditto and Stefan drew their weapons and proceeded slowly down the stairs. Ditto opened his phone and shot some video of the lab. Just in case Mona's watching, he whispered. A sudden crack splintered the air. A flat noise like bamboo striking wood. Ditto recognized it immediately. It was a gunshot. A real gunpowder slug being fired. Bushka gangs often modified lightning rods to accompany actual projectiles. The bullets were subsonic, but coated with Teflon to make up for their slowness. Stefan clutched his chest, stumbling backwards against the wall. Then he bounced forward again, toppling over the railing. His tall frame plummeted 20 feet straight below. Stefan! Screamed Ditto, his juvenile voice threatened with anguish. Stefan lay down on the tiling, a pool of blood spraying from beneath his torso. He wasn't moving. Below on the factory main level, Faustino looked up from the readout panel she'd been inspecting. Why am I not surprised? She muttered, shaking her head. Ditto pulled out his lightning rod. Faustino! He shouted. Take a moment, Mr. Bond, or should I say, Ditto, to study your chest. Ditto looked down. There was a bright red dot draining across the material of his shirt. Faustino approached the steps. My little voice in my head told me to take precautions. You supernaturalists have proved slippery in the past, so I left a just-in-case man covering the door. Seems like I made the right choice. He will shoot you too, Ditto. There aren't any cameras in this room. Nothing to incriminate us later. Now, drop your weapon. Ditto did so, watching it clatter through the bars onto the floor. Faustina raised her voice. And now, tell the other two to join us, or my man the Shadows will be forced to pull his trigger one more time. Ditto tensed. Go ahead and give the order. At least two of us will be. Go ahead and give the order. At least two of us will be alive to talk. Cosmo and Mona tumbled through the access door. No, said Cosmo. We're here. Don't shoot. Morons, hissed Ditto. Now we're all dead. Mona raised her hands. Just trying to buy us some time. Ditto descended the stairwell slowly, the laser dot staying on his chest. What are you doing here, Faustino? What is this madness? Faustino pointed to Stefan. Check your leader first. If I must explain this machine, I don't want to have to go through it all twice. You two children, get down here where I can see you. Remember, at the tiniest side of heroics, you inherit the laser dot of Mr. Ditto. Ditto hurried to Stefan's aid. With considerable effort, he flipped the Russian and checked his heartbeat. It was faint, but still there. Stefan clasped Ditto's hand, placing it on the wound. I see now, he whispered, his voice slackened. I see it all. Things are different now. Ditto supported his head. No, Stefan, not yet. We have things to do. Take the pen away, grunted Stefan through blood bubbles. He's holding me down. Ditto concentrated, seeking the pain out with his sixth sense, pulling the energy into himself. He felt a small buzz of electricity pulse through his small frame. Better? Stefan's eyes were clear. Better. Much. The wound was bad. Deadly, even. You're not cured, Stefan. I can't cure you. I know, Tito, said Stefan after a coughing fit. I know. Several scientists scuttled off to other parts of the facility. They had no desire to witness whatever happened next. Faustina was left behind with a single bodyguard, and of course, the hidden sniper. Down here, you two, she said to Cosmo Mona. I want you all together. Stefan lifted himself into one elbow. Stefan lifted himself into one elbow. Tell me this isn't what I think it is, Faustino. Not even you could be this heartless. Faustino laughed, a delighted little girl laughed. Oh, Stefan! Still a spark of decency left in you. I remember you in the academy. Always so naive. You actually joined the police to help people, and you're still doing it. But nuclear reactor. After all the disasters the world has seen, there isn't a government alive that would buy into nuclear power. How could Maishi do this? Speaking was not easy for Stefan now. Even staying conscious took concentration. Faustino drummed her fingers on her chin. Mike, my work here is officially unofficial. Oh, Ray Shine knows what I'm doing well enough, but he pretends not to. That way, if anything goes wrong, I'll be the only one taking the fall. That's what business is all about, Stefan. Finding someone else to take the blame. As of this time, there will be no blame. Only profits. Stefan stumbled towards the generator. Both ends were traditional enough, but the center was a double-glazed plastic glass cuboid insulated with hydrogel. The surface plate was the size of a football field. Inside the cuboid, at least 1,000,000 parasites, jerked and bugged as radiation passed through their biological filters. And we collected the Unspec 4, which you so kindly knocked out for us, with an electromagnet, and kept them imprisoned with hydrogel. This entire lab has hydrogel even in the cavity walls, and that's why there's not a parasite on your chest right now. The reactor was a vision of torment. The creatures that should be filling the natural role as painkillers were writhing in the bowels of a nuclear reactor. Faustina was unaffected by her own cruelty. It's quite clever, really. The reactor itself is a water model, but we have replaced the water with living creatures. Unspec 4. Stefan, Stefan locked his knees to keep him from folding. You are deranged, Faustino. Completely insane. Faustina wiggled her both eyebrows at her bodyguard, as if this was the daftest statement she'd ever heard. Insane? Do you even have any idea what I have accomplished here? No, said Dita, eager to buy time. Do tell us. Ah, yes, Mr. Lucien Bond, the Bartoli baby. People called Bartoli insane too, you know. Faustino walked into the full level plastic glass pane that sealed the reactor's central section. Below her feet, hundreds of thousands of parasites shuddered. The problem with the boiling water reactor was that it was actually contaminated the water, and eventually the turbine blades. On Spec 4, take care of that problem. Not only that, but um, they are much more effective in slowing down neutrons and sending them back into the uranium core. They keep the reactor completely clean and 100% efficient, and use 1/10 the amount of uranium. On Spec 4 are a natural miracle. But people are suffering without them, Gustafin. Oh, grow up, Stefan! Snapped Faustino, her true savage nature flashing through his sophisticated image. People suffer all the time. I don't cause suffering. With the Maishi new son, I might actually help people. In fact, I might actually initiate some of those fictitious welfare projects I told you all about. Though the helping thing would be incidental. I'm only doing this for the money, like other organizations do. The Faustino new son, said Stefan bitterly. He staggered to the edge of the generator. Giant turbines whirled beneath Faustino's feet, sparks of pure energy playing around the layered blades. Hints. Why, Professor? All those accidents, risking all those lives. My mother is dead. And the last vestiges of civility dropped from Faustino's eyes like scales. The satellite is falling, you idiot! She yelled. Falling out of the sky because it's too heavy and too low. There are too many commercial units for the original structure to support. To keep it in its present orbit, its commercially viable orbit, Maishi needs a new generator, a lighter and more efficient generator. If it doesn't get one, Maishi loses all of its advertising contracts. Billions of dinars, Stefan. Billions! And that's just the tip of the iceberg. Maishi is contracted for 10 more satellites. 10! It's the biggest deal the world has ever seen, and the Faustino News Sum is going to power every single one of them. Stefan waved his hands at Cosmo and Mona. They rushed to his aid, propping him up, one under each arm. Lift me, he whispered, his tones laden with agony. The pain was coming back. The young supernaturalists did as they were told, helping Stefan onto the platform. Faustino's bodyguard took a step closer. Close enough, buddy. Don't make me dis. Don't make me. Don't make me dislocate a few things. Don't worry about it, Manuel, says Faustino, rising to the balls of her sandaled feet. Stefan can never beat me on the practice mat. Now I have a couple of quarts more blood than he does, and no hole in my chest. Stefan knelt in the plexiglass. Below him was a blue hell, a hell he'd created. An ocean of parasites undulated beneath him, their eyes dull and glazed. Faustino knelt. Is this how it ends, Stefan? A whimper on the floor. You should have stayed in the vat. The bodyguard took off his glasses. President Faustino, President Faustino, I'm nervous now. I gotta tell you. And I don't get nervous easily. Relax, Manuel. Cover the kids. Do you think you can manage that? Manuel rested the glasses on the bridge of a nose that had been broken so often it was almost flat. Yes, Madam President. I got the kids. Faustino kicked off his sandals and bounced like a boxer. Well, Stefan, do you have one more round left in you? Spasms racked Stefan's chest. I'm not going to fight you, Professor. Really? Come on. I'm the one responsible for your mother's death. Remember? Stefan didn't rise to the bait. There's a better way to get you. Faustina stopped bouncing. Her smug grin faltered. And what's that? Fight from the inside, said Stefan, his voice barely audible. Attack from the rear. Remember? Stefan's hands were moving, hidden inside the folds of his overcoat. What are you doing? What have you got there? Nothing dangerous. Just my phone. Nothing to worry. President Ellen Faustino. A phone? Who can you ask for help? Nobody. I'm not asking anybody for help. Just sending some mail. Faustino stepped closer. Mail? I got a friend with V nose who would sell a couple of limbs to see the video I'm shooting right now. He's going to owe me. Big time. It took a moment for Faustino to realize what really was happening. But when she did, her face twisted into a Halloween version of itself. He's sending video! If the press gets a hold of footage of our reactor before we're ready, it's all over! She dived at the injured Russian, claw-like hands digging beneath the torso. She pulled Stefan's hands out. They were empty. Surprise, he said, wrapping his arms around Faustino in a bear hug. She beat his chest with a fist, with no results. Stefan got to his feet. Dead man's grip, grunted Stefan, sweat collecting in his eyebrows. The last thing I'll ever do. Anyone with police training knows about the dead man's grip. If a suspect is dying and knows it, stay well out of reach, because the last thing he catches on to often goes to the grave with him. It's amazing how someone with only seconds to live can find the strength to bend metal and snap bones. The sniper on the rafters transferred the laser dot to Stefan's head. Manuel spoke to a mic in his sleeve. No, hold your fire. Repeat, hold your fire. I'll handle this. I'm not the one shooting video, Stefan whispered. It's Tito. Get the kid! Screeched Faustino. The pumpkin! Manuel pointed his lightning rod at Tito. You got a phone, kid? Hand it over. Sure, I'll have a phone. Take it easy, Manuel. I'm just gonna reach into my pocket and get it. Manuel nodded. Okay, you do that. Real slow. Don't make me rap you. Tito kept one hand in the air, reaching into his pocket with the other. He took the phone out with 2 fingers. Look, here it is. No problem. I'm bringing it over. No, stay where you are. Toss the phone. Dido nodded almost imperceptibly at Cosmo. You want me to toss it? That's what I said. What are you, short and stupid? Manuel. Okay, Manuel, don't panic. Here it comes. Dido tossed the phone high, much higher than necessary. One set of eyes followed its arc. It was Manuel's. Cosmo and Mona pulled lightning rods from their belts and hit the bodyguard with at least 4 self-hit slugs. The virus spread across his frame, wrapping him completely in seconds. Dido smiled. A thing of beauty, he said, retrieving the phone. Idiot! Screamed Faustino, her voice muffled by Stefan's bulk. Half wet. You're running out of options, Professor, said Stefan weakly. Faustino screamed to face him. Don't kid yourself, Stefan. I still have my sniper. He can keep your supernaturalists off the plexiglass until you die. That shouldn't be long now. The sniper's laser dot hopped from target to target. The man in the rafters was uncertain who to cover. Give it up, Stefan. There's no way to win. The red dot straight into the plexiglass. Cosmo, Dido, and Mona ducked behind a string of monorail coaches. Stefan smiled, and there was blood on his lips. It's safe now. It's just you and me. Nothing has changed. It's still a waiting game. Dido's voice pierced down with the generator. Don't do it, Stefan. There's got to be another way. What's he talking about? Asked Faustino. Stefan ignored her. I'm sorry, Tito. All of you. You're on your own now. Cosmo grabbed Dido's shoulder. What does he mean? Dido dropped his head into his hands. Stefan is dying. That bullet was too close to his heart. He wants his death to mean something. Mean something? Said Mona. Mean what? Ditto poked his head over the top of the coach. An end to pain. With the absolute last ounce of strength in his legs, Stefan struggled to his knees, bringing the pinioned Faustino down with him. The laser dot flashed on his vision, settling on his forehead. I'm going to kill her, he shouted at the rafters. She killed my mother. Faustino tried to call out, but her face was smothered in Stefan's chest. I mean it. I'll kill her. The dot jittered. The sniper was inserted. She's a dead woman. The hidden gunman made his decision. A muzzle flashed high in the shadows, propelling a subsonic bullet from the rod's barrel, spinning along the length of the laser beam, shedding its coat of gel as it traveled. Stefan saw the flash. He'd been waiting for it and counting on it. He allowed his knees to buckle, collapsing to the floor a millisecond before the subsonic bullet whizzed past his ear, drilling past through the twin layers of plexiglass. Faustino saw gel bubble through the holes. No! She cried. The bullet sped into the reactor's interior, taking a chip from one of the turbines. The chip spiraled upwards, scorching the plexiglass like a finger through sand. More and more hydrogel dripped down, scattering any parasites with the energy to move. Alarm lights flickered on a dozen consoles, automatically shutting and sealing the reactor's nuclear section, but the unspec floor area was irretrievably breached. Cracks raced along the surface, competing with each other to reach the edge. Each crack gave birth to a million more, until it wasn't a square foot of broken plexiglass left. Hydrogel dropped in waves, sparking a dozen fires on the floor beneath. Parasites crawled from its path, but they could not flee without clean energy. Faustino's cheek rested on the plexiglass. Let me go, she pleaded. Stefan did so. It's too late, the professor, he said. Don't worry. You won't feel a thing. Faustino scrambled to her feet, but before she had taken half a dozen steps, the transparent surface collapsed entirely, plunging them both into the belly of the reactor's central section. Every window in the facility was blown out, hydrogel dripping from the double-glazed panes. Stefan landed on his back, but there was no pain. There was no pain because a single parasite had dripped itself across its chest. The agony flowed out of the supernaturalists and into the creature. Take it, said Stefan, the words barely rustling through his lips. Be free. The parasite pulled out of the pain in a globe of glistening silver. In seconds, as this desiccated heart pulsed vibrantly again. The parasite's round, soulful eyes stared into Stefan's own. I understand now, said Stefan, and one more word after that. A word, or a last breath. Mother! The parasite reached out a four-fingered hand, laying it on the shoulder of a suffering brother. A burst of energy flowed through one and the other, liberating the second. And so Stefan's pain spread, rashing between 1,000 parasites, giving each one the energy to escape the nuclear reactor and find the energy to free more parasites. They scampered up the wall, avoiding globs of hydrogel, and scattered through the lab like leaves caught in a whirlwind. Stefan's heart had stopped beating, but he had just had time to watch them go. In the middle of all that, there was something else. Someplace else. Somewhere different. Cosmo and Ditto were leaning over the lip of the reactor's central section. Ditto seemed like an actual child now, with tears streaming down his face. You had to do it, Stefan! No! He sobbed. You had to be the big, stupid hero! Nothing else would do. Cosmo, as usual, couldn't believe what was happening. You mean he goaded the sniper? Of course! A bullet was the only way through the plexiglass. He was waiting for the muzzle flash. Slow bullets, you know. Parasites whirled all around them, hunting for energy. Already, some had returned to the shattered windows, carrying energy to free the others. A single parasite hovered by Cosmo's chest, its head cocked expectantly. Cosmo stepped back. It senses something. A red dot appeared on its chest. Oh no, said Ditto. The sniper's still up there. Don't move. I'll try to negotiate. Ditto raised his hands. turning toward the source of the beam. Faustino's finished! He shouted to the shadows. You don't have to do this! We have money! There was no reaction for a second. Then the familiar whoop whoop of a cellophane slug being fired and striking. Mona stepped from the rafters, a step from the blackness, high up in the rafters. I took advantage of the confusion to wrap the sniper, she said, holstering her lightning rod. Is what Stefan told me. She paused for a second, working up the courage to ask. Is he gone? Yes, replied Cosmo. He's gone. And so was the hovering parasite. Mona was quick for several moments. Cosmo thought he saw her slender frame shake. After that, he pulled herself together. Then we had better go too. There are alarms going up all over the building. The paralegals will be here any minute. It was true. Cosmo could already hear sirens in the distance. He took one last look over the edge, then hurried toward the stairwell and freedom.